Hello, audience. My name is Angel Oral Alamar, and welcome to Rediscover Your Hidden Intuitive Gifts and Reconnect with Loved Ones Beyond the Veil. Today, we have an amazing guest. An amazing guest, would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Thank you, Andrew. My name is Macaya Miracle. I'm an energy healer and ascension teacher, and I am just super excited to be here to share the gift of healing. There's nothing more that inspires me in this world is just the ability that we can bring the light of source and transform anything that's not working for us so we can continue living our lives on an infinite expansion into infinite bliss.
I love that. I love the infinite bliss part. I want to ask you, what was the catalyst that got you into this? Like, what happened to make you, or I guess I want to say to help you into this path? Like, what was the thing that was like, okay, this is it for me. This is what I should be doing.
Well, that's two-part question. So when I was 16, I was raised in a very liberal sect of the Christian church until I was 18. But when I was 16, I went to Bible camp,
Hmm.
and they had this workshop called Healing Touch, and I was like, cool. There's this girl that I was really sweet on. I was like, let's go to this. We can massage each other. It's gonna be awesome. But it was actually a shaman lady, and she taught us all about energy healing and how to see energy and how to feel energy. And I knew right at that moment, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But fast forward a while, like there was, like I knew that was it. I was excited about it, but there's nothing really to push me into it. So the universe is like, well, hey, you're supposed to be a healer. We got to make this happen. So why don't we make you really sick? And I got really sick. And it was something with the doctors weren't going to be able to help me with. So I knew I had two options. I could just like slowly suffer until death, or I could learn everything I could about healing and heal myself. And so that's what I did. I spent 12 hours a day researching energy healing and meditation. And then once I learned all that, I transferred to doing energy healing and meditating 12 hours a day for about a year and a half until I was able to get myself healthy um, enough to be back in society.
I love that. That's awesome that you spent that long meditating and healing yourself. I think that's absolutely awesome. But I want to ask you about the misconceptions around healing yourself. What are some common misconceptions you hear about healing yourself? And can you kind of debunk them, if that makes any sense to
Hmm.
ask? I know it sounds weird, but first I'll
Well, it's
ask you, like,
interesting
sorry.
because, you know, you see in like TV and in books and movies, they're all like, you don't have to do everything on your own. And I do think that's a really important part. Like, even though I was working on myself all the time, like, I had teachers, I had inspiration because if you can't, if you can't see a future, an example of something that's greater than the state that you're in, it's kind of hard to get there. So teachers are important for inspiration. And at the same point, like they can't do it all for you. You have to learn how to do the work yourself if you want to get you to where you want to be.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense. I think when it comes to healing, not only healing but psychic work as well, but when it comes to anything in that kind of vein of things, a lot of people that I work with and through, they have this kind of misconception that they can't heal themselves. They can't do the work on themselves. So I like that you said that you can do it yourself and you can have kind of help because a lot of people feel like they can't do it themselves. They can't fix their own issues within themselves. So yeah, thank you for saying that. Okay, I want to ask you now, how does infinite miracle healing help individuals clear blockages that prevent them from rediscovering their intuitive gifts?
Hmm. Well, first, let's start by we talk about intuitive gifts, but intuition is actually your natural state. When you're a baby, your intuitive gifts are fully open, fully flourished. You can perceive the spirit world, you can perceive energy, and you do. And then You get to about age 5 and you go to school, and then the teachers are like, no, you can't know this. No, your imaginary friend isn't real. No, you can't hear other people's thoughts.
Mhm.
And so you start to shut that down. And then you create kind of layers and layers and layers of more beliefs on top of that over the years of like, oh, that stuff's not real. I can't know that. I can't trust myself. And it's as simple as removing all those beliefs of doubt, of not knowing that you're an infinite being and you are infinite awareness already.
Mhm.
So one of the things in infinite miracle healing is we have a clearing tool to clear out limiting beliefs and heavy dense stuck painful emotions like that. So you don't have to be held back by those things that are holding you back.
I love that. And you said like that like instantly. So I want to ask you like, is it when you're using the modality, when you're using infinite miracle healing, can it be instant, or does someone have to work through the layers of it?
Well, that's a choice. If you like to suffer and struggle for a long time, you can work through each layer one by one.
Mhm. Makes sense.
Or you can envision it like a stack of blocks. You have a stack of wooden blocks. You can take them off one by one and go down, or you can just take out the bottom block and all the blocks fall over.
True. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask that question just because I think a lot of healing practitioners suffer with this idea. Well, I can't say a lot, but a few that I've come across. They suffer with this concept of like um, healing can't be instant. It has to be like you have to work through all the layers, you have to get through all the traumas, you have to work through your inner children and all these things. But I like that you can do instant work if it's something you choose to do. If it's something that's truly within your focus, you just have to for that to be your intention.
The thing about it is, those healers, like, that's how they were trained. And I was trained that way too. I've been doing this work for 20 years, and that's where we started. You have to work through all this stuff. You have to process all this stuff. But the thing about infinite miracle healing is we work at a quantum level. And the quantum level is a level, it's a space beyond time and space. So everything that we do impacts your entire timeline,
Hmm.
all your past lives, this life, and all your future lives, and on the physical level, your entire ancestral lineage. So we don't have to we don't have to sludge through time to get to the root of every problem. We can just boom, throw it out from your entire timeline, and then you magically change.
Okay. I like that. So is infinite miracle healing a modality you created?
It is a new modality I created,
I love
yes.
it. Okay.
I've um I've studied 35 modalities of healing, and I've channeled 92 different modalities of healing onto the planet.
Oh, snap.
Infinite Miracle Healing is one of the latest ones that I've channeled, and I mainly use that because I get the most effective and quickest results with it.
Okay. And you said that you operate on the quantum, so it uses quantum or access to the quantum very heavily.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. I love that. So I want to ask you, out of all the modalities that you've not only channeled, but which one is your favorite outside of this one, Infinite Miracle Healing?
Well, right now I'm really excited about the pleading light healing energies, which I've
Mhm.
also channeled. I've been working with the pleadings for almost 20 years now, and
Mhm.
they're these beings that live in the fifth dimensional realm that they're just beings of love and infinite bliss, and they structure their entire lives around how much bliss and how much pleasure can we experience in every moment. And I believe personally that that's the greatest healer of all. If we can experience as much pleasure and bliss in the body, our soul is like, hey,
Mhm.
this is an amazing experience. Let's do everything that we can to make this the most joyful, amazing, and healthy experience so we can be here on the planet as long as possible.
Mhm. I love that. I love the bliss aspect of things. So I want to ask you, I know I probably asked this question already, but someone who's stuck, who can't really access their bliss, how can they start to move forward towards accessing their bliss? Not just physically, but spiritually as well.
What happens is that we're beings of energy, we're beings of light, we're spiritual beings. And uh, as infinite beings, energy wants to flow infinitely like a river. It wants to flow and vibrate at an infinite vibration. But we're here on the earth plane, and there's things that kind of make energy a little bit dense. And like I said, energy wants to flow infinitely like a river, but when we take on limiting beliefs, when we have traumatic experiences that create emotional charges in our energy field that we haven't um, fully let flow out, it slows down our energy vibration, and we start to get sluggish and slower. And that might not be in all areas of your life, but it could be. It could be in a physical area. It could be in certain emotional situations where you get triggered or you're afraid or you avoid things. It could just be limiting beliefs like I can't do this, etc. And so what can really help is to get some sort of energetic activation or energy infusion to get the energy field flowing again, flowing faster, getting the energy moving. Because it's just like water. If a tree falls in a river and blocks this area of water, it gets stuck and stagnant. And what happens when water gets stuck and stagnant? It smells bad. It starts growing green stuff. And that's what happens to you. Maybe on a physical level, maybe on an emotional level, but it gets stagnant. And but if we can flow enough water in there and get the energy moving, we can push that tree out of the way and the water can flow again, and then all of that stuff dissipates.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really important for people to receive energy healing or energy activations.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for explaining that a little deeper. Because I think again, it's you can do the work yourself, but it is very important to beyond doing that to find help first, and or yeah, wherever you are at your journey, it's important to find help and to get clear so that you can be and do better for yourself.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I want to ask you next, can you explain how the process of 5D ascension accelerates the ability to communicate with loved ones beyond the veil
Mhm.
and activate their latent intuitive abilities?
Well, the fifth dimension is the level of infinite love, infinite now. This is a place beyond the limitations of time and space. And when you can reach a level of awareness that's beyond time and space, then you're aware of everything beyond time and space. Just like when you look around your room right now, whatever room you're in, you see walls, you see a floor, you see different objects, you're aware of all that. It's there. But when you're at a fifth dimensional level, you're aware of everything because you are an infinite being. And as an infinite being, you're infinitely aware of everything past, present, future. How could you not? If you are everything in all time, how could you not be aware of all of it? The thing is, to get to the fifth dimensional level, you have to let go of all your limiting beliefs and all your emotional charges because those things are too dense to vibrate and exist at a fifth dimensional level. The the human way of living, or we could call it the third dimensional way of living, is thinking, doing, um, thinking, doing, not receiving, and feeling. And by doing all that, we create identities and stories around everything, including ourselves.
Yeah.
But at a fifth dimensional level, energy is vibrating so high and so fast that you don't have time for that. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have time to go into your head and try to think and figure everything out and try to control everything. So the ascended way of living or the fifth dimensional way of living is being, knowing, perceiving, and receiving. So being, just being the vibration, the energy of whatever it is that you want to create in every moment. Knowing, that's a place beyond thinking, that's being in your infinite awareness, just knowing what to do, what to say, what to be, who to spend time with, what
Mm-hmm.
to create. Perceiving, again, that's intuitive, that's just being aware of everything, but
Mhm,
not really creating a story about it. Just like, okay, cool, everything exists. Awesome.
mhm,
And then receiving, just being open to infinite receiving, because that's also your natural state.
mhm, mhm. Okay.
How that connects to connecting with loved ones beyond the veil or different spirit guides, angelic teachers, is the more you're out of your thinking mind and in your infinite knowing, you can connect with any energy, any being in all time because
Mhm,
you're infinite awareness and you're aware of all time. And so the more and more you release your limiting beliefs, release your dense emotional charges, the more your energy field is flowing so you can receive that energetic information because spirits don't communicate uh with sound most of the time. They can communicate energetically.
mhm,
And that energy may come in as a form of words, but it's not going to be like uh, a physical sound.
mhm. Yeah. I usually hear them like telepathically.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Mhm. I think other people hear that however they hear it, but yeah, that's usually what I mostly hear is like telepathically, or others will hear it the same way telepathically or energy as well. I always see a lot of people say that they see the energy more than they see the being.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. There's seven main types of intuition. And
Mhm.
everybody has a primary one or two. So the seven types are clairaudience, which is hearing energy or receiving telepathic messages. Clairvoyance, the ability to see energy. Clair sentience, ability to sense or feel energy. Claircognizance, the ability to just instantly know what energy is, what information is in the energy they're receiving.
Mhm.
Clairaudience, the ability to smell energy. Clairgoustience, the ability to taste energy. And then empathy, the ability to perceive emotional energy.
Oh.
Now, everybody has a primary one or two of these.
Mhm.
Uh, I like to liken it to this. I'm a musician. I've been playing music since I was 5,
Mhm.
and I'm really good at it. It comes easy to me. It's natural for me. But if you asked me to draw a picture of you, I'd probably draw a little stick figure with legs and arms.
Mhm.
Because visual arts does not come naturally to me.
Mhm.
Now, could I get good at visual arts? I could probably get good if I went to school and studied and practiced every day.
Mhm.
Could I become great or virtuosic? Maybe, but the effort it would take for me to get there, if I put that energy into what's already natural for me, the music,
Mhm.
I would go a lot farther.
Yeah.
And that's the same with your intuitive gifts. However you receive information from energy, whether you hear it or you smell it or you see it or you taste it or you just know things, that's your primary mode. And the more and more you focus on that and develop that, the more information and awareness you're going to be able to receive.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
can develop all of them, but you don't need to. A lot of people come to me, they're like, hey, I want to learn how to see energy. And then we talk about the seven types of intuition. They're like, oh, well, I hear energy better. Like, well, focus on that. If you want to see energy, if you want to develop it, cool. But you don't need it to get to where you want to be on a spiritual evolutionary level.
Mhm. I think that's definitely important to for them to know. I notice that a lot too when I'm doing mentorships. Like there's always a perception based on how things should be, and we have to move beyond that.
Hmm.
Like it has to look a certain way, or their abilities aren't powerful, or they're not good enough. Um, and I always find that it's weird, but I understand it because it's something I went through too when I was first starting out.
Me too.
Um, but yeah, it's there's always this kind of perception around things. I think it's coming from society, um, around how things should look, and if it's not that, then it's not right. So I like that you went into that because it really gives you an understanding of like play on the things that you already know are there and grow that and then work with everything else if it feels right. But you don't really need them. You just need to work on the one thing that is the strongest within you already.
Definitely.
Um, Thank you. I like that. Okay, so I want to ask you next. How can someone differentiate between what their mind or their heart is telling them between spirit or their guides or their ancestors beyond the veil? Like, how do they know the difference?
My question is, does it matter?
Mm,
I just talked about all these different types of intuition, but the biggest type of intuition beyond all that is the way your body feels. Your body's a bio-resonant feedback machine. And what I mean by that is whatever is true for you will make your body feel light and blissful, expansive. Let me rephrase that. Whatever will get you more in alignment with infinite source will make your body feel light and expansive and more blissful. And usually that's the truth. Whatever is pushing you away from being in alignment with infinite source will make your body feel heavy, tight, and contracted. And so when you're receiving messages or you're, receiving whatever you're coming up with, it doesn't matter because if you're feeling light and blissful and expansive, flow with it. If you're not, you might want to make a different choice.
mm, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, the reason why I asked that is just because I think, again, like I was talking about before, there's a lot of perception around it, and how it's supposed to look. And I think people get kind of caught up in how do they know? So I wondered if there was like a, a surefire way of knowing knowing the difference between you and them. But it does make sense that you, as the person who is kind of the spiritual conduit for whatever you're seeking to connect with, would be that kind of knowing, if that makes any sense at all.
Definitely.
That sounds weird coming out.
I followed you.
Okay. But yeah, it makes sense that you would be the source of knowing if you're channeling that being. Because I think no matter what you are, psychic, healer, whatever, if you're connecting with a being outside yourself, and bringing that information, you're channeling it relatively. So yeah, I think, yeah, you're 1,000% right. And I hope this helps a lot of people who are watching, especially the ones who are beginning on their journey, as spiritualists. Um, I think a lot of people who are just starting out are wondering how things are supposed to look and feel and sound or whatever. And I think this will give them a really good understanding of like it doesn't always have to look a specific way. It doesn't have to be a specific way. It doesn't have to sound or taste a specific way. It just has to be what feels the best for you and also what brings you the most bliss. Um, I really like that you kind of played on the bliss part and also brought in the extraterrestrials whose focus in the 5D brings about bliss. So thank you again for saying that. And next, I want to ask you, how can people use their newly activated gifts and intuition, not only for personal healing, but to connect with ancestral wisdom?
When you think about all the generations going back to the first family of humans, your first family, how much love had to be infused in all of that to get you to this point right here today? You
Wow.
know, thousands and thousands and thousands of years of people learning about how to live life in a human body, learning how to have relationships, learning how to be creative and contribute to the world in a way that's going to continue the human race. The
I guess
biggest key to unlocking your connection with the ancestors is gratitude for all of that. Just giving thanks. Thank you, parents. Thank you, grandparents. Thank you, great grandparents, and keeping on going just down the line all the way back to the first family. To first off, let them know that you're aware that, hey, they existed at some point. They contributed to you being here right now. And B, by doing that, opening the energetic pathway of connection. Like, cool. Now we have this connection through lineage. And then if you want to ask some questions, great. But the best and most easiest thing you can do is just be like, hey, ancestors, thank you for this glorious gift of life. Thank you for contributing to the planet, humanity. Please show me whatever it is I need to know to stay on a path of infinite expansion in any given moment.
Mm.
And don't worry about receiving the answer right in the moment. Just know that they're going to be with you, guiding you and showing you what you need to see or know at any given point.
Mm. Mm. I like it. Okay, so next I want to ask you, what is the relationship between intuition activation and rediscovering one's hidden spiritual abilities?
So I like that you use the word rediscovering because as we talked about earlier, when you're born on this planet, all your intuitive abilities and spiritual gifts and abilities, they're activated. They're there. And so we're just kind of clearing away the debris to allow it back open. But sometimes that um takes a little bit of an energetic blast. Like I
Mhm.
said, you have the tree in the river, river's flowing, just flowing a little bit over here, but this area is stagnant. To get this tree out of the way,
Mhm.
it has to be kind of a blast of water, boom. And so if we activate, and really that's just an infusement of energy. But energy isn't just energy. Energy is also light and information. So we're infusing energy and information to show you and help you remember, like, hey, this is how an ascended being lives. This is how an ascended being perceives energy. And as an infinite being yourself, you are that. So we're just kind of putting that energy in, and we can do that in a lot of ways. I like to play around with activating the third, the fourth, the fifth eyes, and the angel chakra
Mhm.
to really just get those energetic centers of perception open to and clear so they can perceive whatever energy is coming in.
That makes sense. But it also gives you like an understanding of like how to, well, obviously the question gives you the understanding, but thank you for giving us the understanding of how to not only connect them, but to realize one is open through the other, if that makes any sense. One is discovered by the opening of the other. Yeah, that's what I got.
And you can receive that as a transmission from a healer.
Mhm.
You can receive it from just being out in nature for super extended periods of time,
Mhm.
or you can receive it by being around people that already have their intuition activation. You can just entrain to that. You can be like, hey, that person's intuition is super activated. I want that. I'm having it too. And just allow your energy field to just kind of tune into what do they know about perceiving energy? What do they know about connecting with spirits? What do they know about being infinite awareness?
Hmm, I like it. Okay. That's something like I struggle with a lot. Like I'll see somebody who I perceive as more open than me or a better healer or better psychic or whatever. And I'm like, "Ugh, I want that too. But I never think like I can have that. Let me just like download it.
Yeah,
So thank you for that. Because now when I see somebody who I feel like has a deeper capability than me, I can just say, hey, I want that too.
for
And
sure.
I'll like let it happen. But yeah, thank you for that. So now I want to ask you, how does energy healing work that you do help people release old karmic patterns and contracts that prevent them from reconnecting to their spiritual heritage?
I'll take that in two parts. Karmic stuff and contracts. Some contracts are simple. You become aware of them and you clear them out. And you usually know when something's a contract because the issue for you just keeps coming up and you clear it out and you clear it out, but it just keeps coming and keeps coming. You're like, why does this keep coming? And so you just kind of, go into your awareness and find out like what's going on here. Oh, cool. In a past life, I did this. And it could be karmic, like, okay, I stole some money from this person. does you don't have to identify what past life it was. You just have to be aware like this happened in the past. So you can clear it out. And again, because we're with infinite miracle healing, we're working on a quantum level, clearing it out from that time in your past life
Mhm.
influences your entire timeline and
Mhm.
changes it. Same for contracts. Maybe a lot of times people have contracts or like oaths or vows. Maybe they were part of a religious sect or a secret society that wanted to tamper down their intuitive abilities so they could be controlled. Or maybe they were part of a, culture where intuitive gifts or spiritual gifts were considered to be black magic or bad, or they were a witch and they get burned at the stake. And so they make an agreement or a contract like, hey, I'm never going to have that again because I don't want to get burned at the stake. I don't want to be ousted from my community, whatever it is. So when we can become aware of that stuff, we can clear it out and allow those unconscious blocks to dissipate so we can easily flow towards the level of awareness that we want to have.
Okay. And you mentioned the quantum, and I know I think for a lot of people who are in the healing space, I think they have heard about it before. But I want to ask you from your perspective, what does the quantum look like? And to add on to that, what does it feel like when you're connected to it?
Ah, well, the thing is, right before we started this interview, I brought you and everybody watching this into the quantum space.
Hmm.
So right now you're already experiencing it to a degree. Uh, we we were taught from a young age that we exist in linear time and everything flows from past, present to the future. But that's just not the case. That's how we perceive it in these human bodies. But the quantum exists in all time and space, and actually beyond time and space. Uh, some people, science talks about it as like the 0 point field, the
Mhm.
point of infinite, point where everything exists. And when we can just easily relax into that level of being, again, we have access to all the information of the past, all the information of the present, and all the information of the future based on the choices that we're making in this moment. And so the more and more we release, the more and more limiting beliefs we release, the more emotional charges we let go of, the greater of a span of time that we start to be aware of. And we can start to be aware of how our choices will turn out in the future. Not based on the mind, not based on calculations like, okay, if I do this, in the past, this happened, and this happened, this happened, so that's what's probably going to happen in the future. No. If I choose this, what will happen in the future, and allowing our energy, our intuition, our perception to inform us of how the future will turn out by the way it makes us feel. Whenever you create it, consider making a choice. Notice how it makes your body feel. If it makes your body feel light, blissful, expansive, excited, that's what it's going to create more for you in your life if you choose that. If you consider making a choice and it makes you feel heavy, tight, contracted, angry, like you want to puke, that's what it's going to create more for you in the future if you choose that.
Yeah.
Neither choice is right or wrong. They're just choices.
Mhm.
But I don't know about you, but I like to feel blissful and joyful and expansive. So those are the choices that I usually like to follow.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. I think it'll be really helpful for those of us who are watching who I say want to feel into the quantum and facilitate their own healing in it. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I want to ask you next if people would like to work with you, if people would like to seek you out to do any healing or workshops, how can they find you?
My website is macayamiracle.com, Macaya miracle.com. Uh, I do online energy activation in classes twice a week. I do
Hmm.
energy healing certification classes every now and again, and I actually have lots of energy healing certification classes in all the different modalities that I teach on my website that you can instantly access through video transmissions.
Hmm. I love that. Okay, is it weird that I want you to like go through all of your modalities so I can like know which ones they are? I know.
Well, I'll list a few.
Okay.
So, Infinite Miracle Healing, like
Mhm.
I said, that's the main one. Um, Quantum Light Healing, Pleiadian Light Healing, Archangel Michael Healing, Archangelic Healing,
Hmm.
um, the Saint's Blessing, which is like an Indian guru darshan channeling,
Ooh.
5D healing system,
Mhm.
and the list just goes on from there.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to ask you that because I'm like, I don't want him to list all of them because I don't want like that might be a little bit annoying for him. But I definitely will go to your website and look them up because I'm so interested in all the different modalities that you teach and possibly partaking in one so I can expand my own healing capabilities.
Beautiful.
But what's really interesting to me, especially that I've seen in a lot of other healers that are particularly seasoned, like in their healing modality and in like the process of healing, is that a lot of them talk about the process of instant healing. And like you said before, a lot of us, when we first start out, we're taught that you have to go through all these layers, and I do not like that. So I'm like, I'm going through this thing now where I'm like, with my clients doing instant healing and getting to the root of things quickly instead of going through a layer and then coming back and finding 10 more layers next week and then yada yada yada. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to understand more about the modalities you teach. And I'm excited to see what else you have to offer. And I think, and I hope that everybody who's watching is excited as well, because it's rare that we find someone who teaches so many modalities and has access and has created a lot of modalities. So thank you for bringing such, like, I guess I want to say ascension to the world and to so many people, because I think a lot of us need it and a lot of us will resonate with what you do and a lot of the things that you have to teach. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I want to ask you next, do you have a free gift or offer to share with the audience today?
Yes, I do. So, we've been talking about the quantum a lot, and this free gift that I want to offer you is called the Quantum Ascension Activation.
Hmm.
And why this is different from maybe other ascension activations you might have experienced, like a 5D ascension activation or just a general ascension activation, is that, again, we're doing it in the quantum, which affects the entire timeline. So, what would it be like if all this consciousness and awareness that you have right now and all the activations you received, what if you received that at the time of your birth? How would that change your entire life if you
Hmm.
started your ascension, the conscious ascension journey there? Now, what if that happened in all of your lifetimes?
Hmm.
You had your ascension activated in all of your lifetimes. How would that energy carry over lifetime after lifetime after lifetime uh, to now and change it? Like, okay, instead of being a thief in a lifetime, maybe you received an ascension activation and ended up at a monastery and meditated for 40 years. And that brought all that energetic momentum over to all your lifetime. So the possibilities with this are endless. So this quantum ascension activation, it's a 20-minute video. I think there's an MP3 you can download too of it that you just receive and raise your vibration. And then the other part of it is you you can do it once and fully receive the activation, or you can do it over and over and over again because the first time you go from like level 0 to level 100,000.
Hmm.
Next time you do it, you're already at level 100,000, so now you go to level a million. You do it
Hmm.
again, you're at a level a million, you go to level billion. So you can put it on loop, you can listen to it while you sleep, and just receive the bliss and the activation to make your life even more blissful.
I love it. Thank you for offering that amazing gift. Everybody, go and watch it. Because like as we're doing this interview, I can feel energy, especially in like the back of my head. And when you said that you had moved us into the quantum, I was like, I felt something immediately when we connected, and I felt like really tired. So I'm like, I'm wide awake. I had my tea. I'm good. So there's no reason why I would be tired, you know. But yeah, when you said that, I was like, okay, that makes sense. There's energy moving, and I still feel like there's something moving in like the back of my head.
Mhm.
Um, like something's either moving out or moving through. So thank you also for the healing, and I hope you guys can feel it as you're watching. And yeah, I want to ask you one more question. Thank you also again for the healing, but I want to ask you: is there a final message you'd like to leave the audience with that you feel like they should know?
I was having a conversation with a healer I know recently, and she was like, I grew up in the 90s and I saw all these things on TV that just kind of made reality seem like it had to be a certain way. Things like, people being sad, people uh, experiencing drama and tension and anger and abuse. And that's just the natural way it is. And if you just took that at face value, then that's how you create your life because, like, this is how reality is.
Yeah.
But what if it's not? What if reality is all about remembering and stepping into your infinite self? Remembering that you are an infinite being. And as an infinite being, your natural states are infinite bliss, infinite love, infinite joy, infinite peace. What if your entire life could be created from those things? And how amazing could all of life be on this planet if we just experienced that and shared that energy with the entire world? So that's the possibility I invite you to is like, what if what you thought was how reality was supposed to be? What if you could just let that go and be like, and make a choice like, hey, life is going to be blissful. That's what I'm having. That's how I'm going to create it. I don't care what anybody thinks. We're having it.